Hello, it's Humanities. Today we're talking about the left and the right. The terms right and left in politics appeared in France in the last decade of the 18th century, during the revolution that abolished the monarchy and established a republic. More than 200 years have passed since then. Over time, these terms picked up many different meanings as the world changed and became more complex. On the one hand, they became widely used. On the other, people used them in very different historical contexts, so the meanings got mixed. Today, these terms are quite vague, so they shouldn't be taken too seriously. It's better to describe your position using specific labels like liberal, fascist, or communist, with clarifications if needed. As noted, left and right emerged during a revolution. In any revolution, some forces push for more radical change, while others resist it or at least argue for a slower pace. Before the revolution, France was an absolute monarchy. Society was strictly hierarchical, social mobility was limited, and most people had little chance to change their status. Rights and freedoms were minimal, most of the population had no political voice, power was concentrated in the hands of the king, and the clergy and nobility had privileges. In this context, radicals were those who wanted to abolish the monarchy and build a new system from scratch. They were called left, simply because they sat on the left side of the assembly. If they had sat on the right, the terms would be reversed. Traditionally, the left includes those who see the present as unjust and call for major change. More moderate groups wanted to avoid a complete break with the past and supported a constitutional monarchy. They were called right because they sat on the right side. Traditionally, the right includes those who support preserving the existing order or changing it gradually. They often stress the importance of family, religion, nation, the army, and the state. The first three major ideologies are usually considered to be liberalism, conservatism, and socialism. Liberalism began to take shape before the French Revolution, but we can focus on the late 18th century. At that time, liberal ideas such as broad rights and freedoms and the abolition of privileges were seen as bold. Liberals were considered radicals and sat on the left. Conservatism emerged in response to these ideas, so conservatives became the right. By the mid-19th century, liberalism stopped being seen as radical. It gained support in many countries, its ideas became more mainstream, and it turned into a centrist ideology. Socialism then took the place of the left. It called not only for political equality but also for economic equality. Socialists argued that workers do most of the work but have little and are oppressed by monarchs, aristocrats, and capitalists. For the latter, these ideas sounded threatening. Things escalated further in 1848 with the publication of the Communist Manifesto, where a young Karl Marx predicted an inevitable workers' revolution that would abolish private property and transfer power to the working class. Compared to this, socialism seemed less radical, and communism came to be seen as the far left. At the same time, in the 19th century, nationalism took shape as a major ideology. It treats the nation as the highest value and argues that the state should be built around it. The people are seen as the only legitimate source of political power, and unity is emphasized over class or other differences. Nationalism is generally considered a right-wing ideology. Anarchism also emerged in the 19th century. It sees freedom as the highest value and views the state as a tool of coercion that limits that freedom. Anarchists call for abolishing the state and organizing society through self-governance and mutual aid. They are usually classified as far left, though there are variations. This was the 19th century, when liberalism, conservatism, socialism, communism, nationalism, and anarchism all took shape. Then came the 20th century, and things became even more complex, and this is Humanities. Subscribe here and on Patreon. Videos come out earlier there, along with the texts. See you in the next one.